let's do this. Let's jump into this. A little different than we've been normally looking at, but it is important and it does have to do with cash. So wage growth nears 3-year low in June, just a few days ago. Obviously now we're in July here. Happy 4th, by the way. As labor markets enters different regime. Okay, not really sure what that means, but I'm sure the Yahoo Finance will let us know. Mr. Josh Schaefer reports. Pay increase for American workers have continued to fall from highs reached during the post-pandemic reopening. And it's referencing another article here. Wage growth keeps slowing for job switchers as U.S. labor market cools off. And I don't think it's just the U.S. labor market, but I'm not an expert here, obviously. Oops. Let's go back to that article. Okay. And that's as true for folks keeping the same job as it is for those finding a new gig. So it sounds like people aren't getting raises either. According to new data from ADP released Wednesday, and that would have been this past Wednesday. Yes, yesterday. Annual wage increases for workers who stayed in their same job increased at the slowest rate in nearly 3 years in June. For job changers, annual wage increases slid for the 3rd straight month. I am curious as to what this new data is here from ADP. We'll look at that in a second. We are in a different regime than we've been in the past, where that job stayer growth was either flat or even rising, ADP chief economist Neela Richardson said during a call with reporters. Wow, I cannot read. With reporters on Wednesday. The question for us is just how low is it going to get? The idea that job stayer growth would go back to pre-pandemic levels is still being challenged. And then here's a little graph. Job stayer, job changer. So job changer spiked, it seems like. Regardless, though, job changer pay is always more. So interpret that how you will. I'm sure it's no news to you. Wasn't news to me. In June, wages for job stayers rose 4.9% from the prior year, slower than the 5% pace seen in the prior month and slowest growth since August 2021. Wages for workers who changed their job increased 7.7 year over year, down from 7.8% the month prior, and well below the 16.4% seen at the peak in June 2022. Now, obviously, these increases matter the most in comparison to inflation in its many forms. Gas, groceries, rent, daycare, anything else that you absolutely have to survive in this world. Okay, so Richardson noted that the still elevated pay gains for the job switchers reflect there is still some tightness in the labor market amid other signs of slowing, a trend among a slew of recent labor market data. New data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which I was going to look at that, but I don't know if it's going to be the same graph, so let's just open that up too. Released Tuesday, for instance, showed that there were 8.14 million jobs open at the end of May, an increase from 7.92 million jobs opening in April. So that is more by a little bit, a few 100,000, right? Yeah, about 900,000 more jobs, I think. Did I get that right? Yeah. No, not even close. Like 20 to 30. 200 to 300,000 more jobs. Overall labor market data has largely shown continued signs of moving off the boil, but not entering a rapid cool down. Okay, it's an interesting way to say that things are slowing down. Richardson reasoned a similar trend is playing out in ADP's data. The ADP Research Institute's National Employment Report showed 150,000 jobs were added to the private sector in June, a deceleration from the 157,000 jobs added in May. Okay. Richardson noticed that a range of about 120,000 to 150,000 monthly job additions keeps the labor market in a sweet spot, which is interesting. I mean, isn't it just the total amount of openings that there are that really matters, or is it because so many jobs are getting just reduced too? Like, seems a strange way to look at that data, almost a little misleading maybe. I don't really know why they count it that way. Personally, I feel like, why not just say, how many jobs exist? Has it increased from last month or decreased? Maybe that is what this reflects, but for it to keep going up and up, it's one thing when it comes to the economy, which is still silly that things inflate that way, but it's not like people that are of eligible working age just spike up at that rate. Like, well, maybe, but then when the people that are not eligible to work, or have decided to retire, when that increased too, maybe they're just not proportionate. That's other data that we're not going to look into right now. Maybe never, unless you guys want me to. Of course, always open to requests for stuff to look into, so just let me know. And to Richardson, the real concern would be a sudden decrease in job gains. It's the rate in which the economy evolves, not necessarily the level, Richardson said. But if we see the cool down go from gradual to steep, I think that's a warning bell. Yeah, I agree. Is that all there is? Okay, that was it for that article, it looks like. Story continues. With the unemployment rate at its highest level in more than 2 years and continuing unemployment benefit claims rising each week, economists remain wary of the labor market's trajectory. On Wednesday, data from the Department of Labor, which is not the BLS, right? This is something else, which would be interesting to look into, showed nearly 1.86 million continuing unemployment claims were filed in the week ending June 29th, up from 1.83 million the prior week. So it sounds like it went up by 0.03, but not like a total increase. It's just, what would that be? 30,000? So 30,000 more unemployments were filed from the previous week. I think. Maybe I'm misunderstanding this. Maybe this week it was that much, and then you add this much, it was this much last week, and you add that to this. But I think that it's a 30,000 increase, or 0.03 million. Right, that's right, because a million is 1,000,000. Now I'm doubting myself here. Let's see here. So 1.86 million, right? Okay, yeah, I'd be right. So 60,000. So yeah, 30,000 increase. While layoffs for now remain low, we think the rise in claims reflect more workers applying for benefits because they are finding it more difficult to find jobs as the pace of hiring has slowed. Oxford Economics lead U.S. economist Nancy Vanden Hooten. That's a cool name. Nancy Vanden Hooten wrote in a note to the clients on Wednesday, Despite the recent increase in initial claims remain below the level we think would signal a significant slowdown in job growth. Yeah, I mean, I guess it really just matters on how people are feeling about it. You know, are people able to get jobs? I don't particularly know. I've been keeping my head down, to be honest. Van den Houten added, current labor market conditions allow the Federal Reserve to be patient before lowering interest rates. Although recent favorable inflation data provide them latitude to respond to any unexpected weakening in the labor market. Okay. So it seems like that's what this writer, Josh Schaefer, thinks might be a result, that they'll decrease the interest rate. The Fed will decrease it. Friday morning will bring the next major labor market update with a closely followed non-farm payroll report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The report is expected to show that 190,000 non-farm payroll jobs were added to the U.S. economy in June, with unemployment holding steady at 4% according to the data from Bloomberg. Interesting that they're not including farm jobs, payroll farm jobs in that. Not sure why. I mean, maybe because farming is such a core to literally surviving, but still, I don't know. I don't know what that means. Alright, so here are some of these data points, datum. Try to interpret this. Again, I don't understand this, but it is interesting. So this is a news release from the Department of Labor yesterday. Unemployment insurance weekly claims in the thousands. So 250,000 claims in January. Weekly IC versus the moving average. And this is the seasonally adjusted insured unemployment. Okay, so IC claims is initial claims. IU is insured unemployment. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I don't really know how to interpret this data. I'm sure that if I read through it a little bit, it might start making sense. But it's a bit advanced for my abilities. So job openings and labor turnover summary. This might be a little simpler to read. The number of job openings changed a little at 8.1 million on the last business day of May. From what? I don't know. Unless that's the change. That's the delta. I don't think it is. No. Over the month, both the number of hires and total separations were a little changed at 5.8 million and 5.4 million. So there's 5.8 million hires, and then people left at 5.4. So there were more people there were 400,000 more people getting jobs than there were losing them or changing them. It's not really clear yeah, I guess you can't know. That would be a whole other data set to say if they had gotten a new job and they moved after getting their confirmation that they got their new job or whatever. Job openings on Wednesday, the last business day of May, on the last business day of May, the number of job openings changed a little. Okay. 8.1 million. This measure was down by 1.2 million over the year. Alright. I don't know if it's necessarily bad. It's bad for us as laborers, but that's because we have less wiggle room. Theoretically. Obviously, it depends on those are real jobs. I've heard a lot about these ghost jobs. Not really sure if that's a real thing, but I know that I personally, since 2019, when I really started my career, well, yeah, I'd consider 2019 when I really started my career. I put hundreds of job applications in. Like, there'd be a week where it was like between 5 and 20 applications, you know, each week, or several weeks. And I would get a call here and there, maybe an email back, usually nothing, or just a bunch of rejections. Every job I've ever gotten has been like that. Literally hundreds. So, I don't know. I think that's just how it is, you know, depending on how much experience you have, what market you're in, all that stuff. It's competitive. It can be very competitive. So that's why it's always good to just be able to swallow your pride and work any job, even if it's outside of the scope of what you've trained for. Because at the end of the day, you're just trying to live, right? You're just trying to save money to, well, that's a luxury, right? Being able to save money, but at the end of the day, you're just trying to continue living. Sad as that kind of sounds. Obviously, you want to save for stuff that's fun. Alright, let's not get too depressing here. So, hires in May, the number of hires was little changed. That's such a strange way, little changed, to say that. Over the year, hires were down by 415,000. Okay. So, total separations include quit, layoffs, and discharges. Yeah, which is what we would expect, and other separations. Discharges, I assume, is a firing. I don't know what other separations would be. I'm sure there's edge cases out there. Quits are generally voluntary separations initiated by employees. Therefore, the quit rate can serve as a measure of workers' willingness or ability to leave jobs. Yeah, that's, I think that's fair. Do they give us the quit rate? The quit rate. In May, the number of quits was little changed. I wish they didn't use this weird verbiage here. It just seems strange. 3.5 million over the year. Quits were down by 550,000. The quit rate was at 2.2% in May. Okay. So it's been holding at that rate for 7 months since May. Since before May. 7 months prior to May. Okay. Well, that's not terrible, I guess. Here's this ADP data from that article that Josh Schaefer wrote for us. Okay, ADP Pay Insights. Pay gains for job stayers slowed in June. Year-over-year, pay gains for job stayers were 4.9% in June, the slowest pace of growth since August 2021. Pay gains for job changers also slowed to 7.7%. So, median annual pay for job stayers, $58,600 across all jobs, apparently. Now, I don't know what the median cost of living is. I know where it is, where I live, it is probably pretty ridiculous. Especially if you have a family, it just gets even more difficult. Which is funny, too, because I'm pretty sure that our ability to make babies across the globe, all over the world, is shrinking. But that's also other data to look at another time. Worker mobility. Okay. So, it looks like there was a huge amount of worker mobility, I guess. I don't know what that means. I think this is just the amount of... Okay, it must be pay mobility, like how much... Yeah, change in pay. That's not what it says there. 21. Really even... Yeah, July 21 until about September 23. It was really good. and now it's back to more of a normal baseline, it looks like. So, I don't know, it's not that bad. Interesting. Here's the gender breakdown. At one point it was actually the same in December and January. This is 21 to 22. And then it's split off. Huh, that's interesting. Okay. I wouldn't have suspected that, to be honest. I mean, it looks like... So it looks like if you're a female, you get a better pay bump. At least since... Yeah, because in 2020 that wasn't the case. But ever since then, it pays to be a female. Look at that. You get a higher pay bump by almost a whole percentage. Or more in some cases. That's awesome. I mean, not for me. That's fine though. It's all about the skills that you gain, right? That's what really matters. That's what makes you stand out as a worker or as an employer. As an employer and employer, it's the skills that matter at the end of the day. It's the results that you can get. Huh, and then here's some more interesting data that I didn't suspect. It looks like between 16 and 24, that's where you get your largest pay bumps. I guess I could see that making sense. You know, you're going from working something that's typically a minimum wage job, that's where I started for sure, to more of a professional job, career job. And then 25 to 34, another bump. Yeah, I mean, I suppose the richer you are, the older you are, the more money you're going to be getting. So at a certain point, increasing your pay gets kind of ridiculous. Like, you couldn't just keep giving somebody a 20% raise every year or even every 2 years. It's just not sustainable, probably for any career. Maybe there are ones out there, and you know what, if you can get into that career, good on you. I wish I could do that. And industry here, so leisure and hospitality, wow, they did really good in 22. Really good. And it seems like they're still doing pretty good. But yeah, construction here, it's picking up, which is fantastic in my opinion. I think construction is such a underrated, can be such an underrated career, I think. I mean, it's not like things are going to not need to be constructed all of a sudden, unless we reach some interesting technology in the future, right? Okay. I'm getting really interested by these graphs here, but I wanted to not get stuck on that. Not get stuck on that too much, but yeah, because this is the same article here. But yeah, wages are rising, but can't keep up with the cost of living and could worsen by inflation. So this is kind of what I was alluding to when we see, when we look at these things, and they're saying that too. Obviously, I'm sure you know I'm not trying to patronize you, but is that the right word? I feel like patronize. Yeah, okay, that's it is what I meant to say. It just sounded weird when I said it, but yeah, I'm not trying to patronize you. Maybe that's how you're supposed to say it. Obviously, what matters is how much it keeps up with inflation. And I wanted to see the actual number for inflation as a rate, but I don't know if I found that. Okay. I mean, that's all cool and stuff, but yeah, I was at this rate not that long ago. Okay. Well, here's some other stuff. So, and I guess this kind of comes back to what we were looking at. It seems like there might just be these cycles of, increase of wages, and then it goes down for a while. You know, obviously this was a long period of time where there was not quite stagnation of wages, but it much lower than it had been the previous decade, and really until recently. But part of the problem is inflation, obviously, and then we see, so here's a huge spike here in the 80s. Well, okay, we know about that historically. Looks like that rate is not the same. Doesn't mean that, I mean, we are paying way more than anyone did in the 80s, but it's the ratio between the amount of money people are making and how much stuff costs, which I don't know how they calculate that here, and it doesn't seem super obvious where they're showing it. Calculation, but I'm sure it might even be right here. Like, I don't know what they're trying to say here. Yeah, I don't know what that means. But yeah, so we're seeing wage growth take a dive. Probably still taking a dive. We don't have data that's recent on that. But the cost of living, you know, it's too much to keep up with in a lot of ways, which really sucks. How are you supposed to save? How are you supposed to make ends meet? Well, I mean, really the only way to do that is spend less, which means less of what we want to do, and try to find out ways to make more money. Maybe by reselling stuff. Like, I have a storage unit. I'm thinking about selling everything in there and then just cutting it off, because it's just not sustainable. It's just not. If you have a house, you know, maybe you can even rent out space to get more money, but it's not a possibility for everybody. Anyways, yeah, I guess that's it. Wage growth is stagnating. I'm sure you've heard that a lot. It really sucks. And all we can do is just work harder, try to become worth more to employers, or if we're an employer, try to be better for our employees so that they do better for us, obviously, and all that jazz. Anyways, take care. Stay up out there.